Okay, before I do anything else, I just have to say how happy I am that Juzo really was still alive, man. Oh, man, I was so hoping for that. I know a lot of people were hoping for Kirigiri to still be alive, but for me it was straight up. Sakakura hadn't gone through his proper growth arc yet. He hadn't got his redemption. We'd seen how he broke, how he got reduced to nothing by Junko, but we never really saw that point where he actually got redemption for all of that and did something that mattered. And in this episode we did finally get that, and my god, he needed it. It was so good. I mean, Juzo is just being praised left, right and centre in the Danganronpa community right now, and really, he deserves it. I mean, there are a bunch of people who liked him from way back in episode 1, which personally I can't get. He was just a psychopath. Unless it was just that physical attraction, in which case I completely get it. But I mean, there were a lot of people that started to get won over by him around midway through Despair arc, where you could see there were feels there. I mean, it was up in the air for a while whether he loved Chisa or Munakata, but there were feels there. You could see he was a person who was trying to do good. He's just not the sharpest tool in the shed. He just likes to punch things to get them out of the way. So, man, a couple of people got one over there, but by the end of this episode, everybody pretty much fell in love with him. Dude was sexy as all hell. His hair was getting all messy, looking like Squall Leonhardt out of Final Fantasy VIII. God damn. And, you know, just the fact that right until the end, he was just doing his best for Munakata. Oh, man, I love that so much. Dude cut off his own arm. I mean, I thought if anyone was going to do that, it was going to be Munakata while full of despair. But he cut off his arm just to make sure he could stay awake while everybody else went to sleep and find the attacker. He just wanted to do one more useful thing for Munakata. He sacrificed so much for him. And then you got to this point where he was having this little fight with Naegi. Oh, man. That was so good. I mean, he had him straight up admit exactly why he was so pissed at Naegi. Just the fact that Naegi had managed to defeat Junko. And that Sakakura had been reduced to nothing by Junko. He felt that pain in his pride. That there was a man out there that actually managed to beat Junko. He probably would have been more happy if the world had just straight up ended. If Junko had 100% won. Oh, God. So, yeah. That was crazy. The fact that he was just feeling like he deserved all of this pain because he betrayed Munakata, and the fact that even while he was bleeding out so badly, he still found his way, pushed on to the point where he could pull all those levers, turn off the power, and saved everyone. I mean, there are a couple of people who are not too sure. There's the argument going back and forth that maybe it was the game's rules that popped off the bangles. Like the idea that because nobody died during that round of sleep, that's what popped off the bangles. But I really think it was shutting down the power. Because, I mean, when you think about it, like, they'd been awake for a bit already then. If the game was going to end because everybody had fallen asleep and nobody had died, surely it should have popped off as soon as Munakata and Asahina and Ryota were awake. But we see Naegi talking to them all while that's going on, and then it's only when Munakata pulls that final lever, shuts down the final bit of power, that the bangles finally pop off. So yeah, I'm assuming it was him who finally shut down the game. Like, there was just no power left in the building. The bangles had no reason to exist anymore. God, man, that was great. It really was. I mean, we're going to come back to the Juzosuke in a bit. Because first off, the fact that we never found out Ryota goddamn NG code really annoys me. I mean, I've been thinking for a while that maybe he doesn't have an NG code. And this episode threw just even more shade on that idea. God, man, with the killing game. How it's set up. How it seems to be Tengen who set it all up. I mean, that is crazy. Tengen just seems too obvious. I mean, they've made it so obvious in the last 2 episodes in a row. I don't like the idea. I especially don't like it because they tricked us so damn badly. I mean, this whole thing they did with Tengen where anytime we heard him throughout the first bunch of episodes, he was always calm, sounding like a grandfather. Even the moment when he was talking to Munakata about who the attacker was. Literally the only bit where he suddenly gets aggressive and angry is the one bit we didn't hear the first time he said it. I'm not okay with that. if you're gonna be like making it super shady and shit, do it like the whole way through. Don't have that one sudden reveal suddenly be overpowering like that. Like before this point, he was always talking about how everybody should get along. We don't have to kill all the remnants of despair. And, oh, there's that project too. I don't want to let that go to waste. Like it sounded like nice things. And then they revealed what his words were and he was straight up like, how do you feel, Munakata, knowing that your future foundation is killing each other? Suddenly sounded like he was goading people. I did not like that. But it does, like, it makes a bunch of sense. The idea that Tengen would have possibly had Chisa be the first victim and then admitted all of that to Munakata when everything was going down, just to really make Munakata go off the rails and go fully insane and start killing everyone. I mean, when it comes down to it, the mastermind has killed a couple of people through the suicides, but Munakata's the one who's really been going around stabbing people. There hasn't been an actual bad person attacker throughout this whole game. It's just the mastermind who set it up and let everything happen. That is crazy to me. And, you know, that revelation in this episode of just how crazy the killing game is. I mean, people figured that out a couple of episodes ago. I was still sticking to my Remnants of Hope theory, which at this point is 100% gone. Chisa was straight up evil, it seems, until the end. Like, even when Makoto Naegi was still getting out of the building and killing game was going on, she was still evil as fuck. So yeah, chances are she was never good. The weird thing about that though is that even though she actually is a member of Ultimate Despair, she was the first victim, but it didn't seem like it was by choice. I mean, she had the same brainwashing effect on her eyes while she was climbing to the chandelier. So God, I really am confused. Whoever set up this killing game didn't care about Chisa, wasn't like considering her an ally. It wasn't like she was working with them. It was just straight up she was being used again. So they built up this great evil character in Chisa and then didn't give her like a redemption thing where she got cured at the end and it's a big surprise, but they also didn't use her properly as a villain, which surprises me as well. But I mean, the suicide anime is something we've been thinking about for a while and we've always linked that back to Ryota. I mean, way back from like episode 2, there were a bunch of people saying Monokuma probably isn't real. It's probably an animation. It was probably Ryota. It's a large part of where my Remnants of Hope theory came from. Oh, man. So yeah, the fact that it's been his project this whole time, but we don't know exactly how it works yet. I mean, it seems like Tengen is the mastermind, but there are so many reasons that he could be the mastermind. I mean, there's still the possibility that this is a killing game being based around hope. The idea being that Tengen sees in his own mind that the ends justify the means. He sees people like Ruruka and Munakata, a couple of other people who seem completely insane and need to sort their shit out. And so he creates this killing game to just basically weed out people that are too close to despair. That would just be painful more than anything. But I mean, there are so many hints that he was doing this for hope. He like scribbled on the ground, I entrust the hope of the world to you. Seemingly to Ryota. It seemed like him and Ryota had such a good connection. Ryota really doesn't seem to be in on this killing game as far as we know. It just seems like his talent was stolen from him. I mean, he literally says that in this episode. He says, no, it wasn't me. Junko used my talents. And that got me really thinking as well, because, I mean, there's been so much shade thrown on Tengen, and there's this interesting idea bouncing around in my head from when Tengen, like, saw the first killing game ended. He was like, first he straight up said, oh, the doors have been unlocked. Like, it's just a normal, calm thing. But then it, like, zooms in on his face at the end of Munakata and Chisa's conversation, and he's like, got the glowing glasses effect, looking evil and plotting, and he says, the door is open, it seems. Like, it seems very maniacal at that point, like he's planning something. So one of the things I was wondering there is if the reason that he was so aggressive in the past but then became so much more relaxed is that possibly he went into the building, found the underground area where they used to keep Izuru Kamakura and did the Kamakura project, because I believe that was all based underneath the old school building, and possibly used that to basically repeat the Izuru Kamakura project but on himself, giving himself all the ultimate talents, including the ultimate analyst skill, I mean, that would explain why he'd be able to do all the things he'd need to do for this killing game. I mean, the idea of having a poison and a sleeping drug that outdoes Seiko, being able to actually put into practice Ryota Mitarai's ultimate animator skills and use all of his brainwashing techniques to actually make killing anime. The fact that he's a badass monk fighting grandpa that managed to fuck up Sakakura. Like, there's so much that seems out of place for him. So it would totally make sense to me if he used the Izuru Kamakura project stuff on himself. I mean, Sun Wukong has also been thinking that maybe he is Izuru Kamakura 1.0, because they did say Hajime Hinata was the second trial subject. So it could be they did it to Tengen first, and he's been that cool for that long. But to me, it feels more like he might have gone in there to get it. Or who knows, maybe the reason he wanted to get in there so bad is he just straight up wanted Junko's original suicide tape. And he found it in there somewhere. Man. So many questions. But going back to Ryota, I mean, he just got that message from Tengen, which was creepy as all hell as it was. Foreboding, no idea who it's actually coming from, because Tengen was one of the only people that was just about 100% confirmed dead. I mean, if he really does have, like, Izuru Kamakura level skills, then I suppose he could possibly have prepared something as good as Cure W, injected it with himself to keep him alive, possibly done something ultimate makeup artist style to, like, fake the body around him. I mean, to be fair, he stopped moving pretty quickly after he died. So it was always weird to me that he managed to scribble down a message in blood when he seemed to just say that final phrase, "Where do you think you will find hope?" and pass out in his death. But I don't know. All kinds of possibilities. Going back to Ryota Mitarai. I keep getting distracted. I mean, he got that text message on his phone. He's been holding his phone for so long. We still don't know his NG code, but I mean, it's clear to Makoto Naegi that Ryota is shady as all hell. He's straight up asking him, "Wouldn't that be something the ultimate animator would know how to do? Do you know anything about this?" And he's freaking out and screaming about how it's Junko, not him. And so I'm wondering if he possibly thinks that it's the straight up Junko's anime that's being used to make people kill themselves in this game. If he's known that for a while. If he thinks that Tengen's betrayed him and Tengen really is evil and stole his ideas. Like, I don't know exactly what's going through his head right there. But it was just that final line he did say where it was straight up, "It's Junko, not me. She's using my talents." Like, that really got to me. And no, I'm not still thinking Junko is alive. I'm not going to throw out that theory. Still very possible. We have no idea who sent the text to Ryota. But what I'm thinking might have been a thing is that possibly Ryota Mitarai got a lot more broken than we ever thought he did. The idea that maybe Ryota Mitarai, while given this punishment by Junko, that he had to essentially run away. I mean, he gave up on anime. He almost drowned in that river. He ended up crawling out into the, like, muddy bank. I'm wondering if he didn't develop, like, a much worse psychosis than any of the other people. If he's ended up getting this, like, horrible split personality in his head where normal Ryota Mitarai thinks he is just trying to do good and is actually trying to help people, but he's got this split personality as an underlying thing that's basically Junko Enoshima herself that could occasionally take over his body. Yes, it's very much like the Kiri Junko theory and the Nae Junko theory. But I'm wondering if he's developed that split personality just from being so badly damaged by Junko and how badly damaged he was before Junko even did anything to him. Like, using his anime that was supposed to create hope to create despair and kill all those people and turn his entire class into psychos. Maybe he really did just snap at that point. Become like an extra member of Ultimate Despair that nobody knew about. And in that case, it could be that second personality that set this all up and used everything. And maybe that message from Tengen is actually a trigger for Junko to take over. Maybe when he reads it, it's going to be like a little animation thing that plays and his eyes are going to go wide and swirly, and suddenly you'll have him laughing his head off and going evil. I mean, from step 1, episode 1, Kodaka was telling us to keep an eye on him and some other people. I think it was him and Kizukura. But yeah, they were telling us to keep an eye on Ryota from way back then. So him being the mastermind, I would definitely prefer to Tengen. I mean, I would certainly enjoy the idea of Tengen if he did use the Izuru Kamakura project and is going to be on that kind of level where he's going to actually be a challenge for Izuru himself. That would be really cool. But we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Just to me, that was amazing. Oh man, Naegi. His whole moment of despair when he actually saw the anime was so good. Seeing all his classmates again, having Kirigiri tell him to kill himself, and Maizono coming back. Oh man, and Maizono was just almost important to him as Kirigiri. I know that's not a shipping war kind of thing, it's just that whole weighing on his mind kind of thing. That was the first death he'd ever seen, the first death that ever really got to him. And you know, his first love as well, so it's no surprise she's almost as important to him as Kirigiri. God damn. Seeing all those characters again, in their death states. Leon looking so fucked up. We had Mondo Butter again and Celeste burning. God damn, that was powerful. I'm just glad they didn't show Chihiro in the state she was actually in. I just called her a she. I mean he. But yeah, just saw the legs hanging from above. God damn. That was great. And you know, Juzo swinging in to save the day was brilliant. Ah, and Munakata's growth in this episode was incredible as well. This is the thing, I don't understand why people hated this episode. There were some people who hated it. A lot of people love it. I'm definitely among that side. Because there were just so many great growth moments. I mean, Munakata at this point when Naegi was telling him what was going on and we saw the power going out and he knew it was Sakakura, he still didn't want to go chasing after him. There was that nagging thought in his head, and he said this out loud. If that's true, I was the one who couldn't believe in him and shoved him away. So he had this general thought process where if he does go to Sakakura, it's like him admitting he was wrong. And that's not something the old Munakata would do. The old Munakata, like we've heard it many times, he just makes up his mind and he never backs down. It was shown as the series went on as well. He made up his mind to kill everyone else and it was only Naegi that snapped him out of that. And at this point he's completely moved on from that because he did full on Juzosuke. I was actually shouting at my screen at that point, tell him Naegi, run to your husbando, and he did. He went dashing as the music started to play. It was so good. It was so damn good, man. It was so sweet. Having the music play as he chased down his friend. Watching Juzo spend his last few moments, like, thinking about Munakata, talking about how he just wants to keep him alive, even though Munakata didn't believe in him. Aww. It was so sad. I just wanted to reach him in time to say something. Was really hoping for it. He got through the door and Juzo was already dead. Still holding on to that final lever. Oh, God, that hurt me. That hurt me a lot. I'm really surprised at how invested I've become in some of these characters. I mean, Chisa's mind-fucking, essentially, destroyed me in that episode. And now this Sakakura thing is really killing me. God. So, yeah. Great episode. Fantastic episode. I just wish things were at least a bit happier. But, you know, we'll see what happens towards the conclusion. We'll see who the real mastermind is in the next Mirai-Hen episode. I have no idea what's coming in the next Zetsubo-Hen episode. I'm thinking maybe we'll see if Tengen really does fall to despair or if Ryota really snaps like mad. We'll see slight hints of that, but not a full revelation. We'll probably see the suicide of all the students. I think they are going to just skip over Danganronpa 0. Which is kind of sad. But we should get more info on Izuru Kamakura and what's going on in his mind as well. Now that he's had those tears streaming down his face, we should see what he actually decides to do. I mean, it seemed like from Danganronpa 0 he wasn't around from that point onwards. So I'm guessing he's going to go out on his own at this point already. Just not sure where he's going to go, what he's going to plan to do. Hopefully we'll get to see Ultimate Despair in their Ultimate Despair forms, but we'll see. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this episode in the comment section below. For me, straight brilliance. I loved it. The Juzosuke, all the hints about like possible masterminds being Ryota or Tengen. The fact that they finally fully explained the killing game and confirmed that for us, it was all good. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this review, wreck that like button like you mean it, subscribe if you haven't already to see more, and I will see you guys next time.